Gold has been on an unstoppable run. It has gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years and almost 20% in the last 12 months. It is happening. Central banks are ditching the dollar and US treasuries are buying more gold. The good news, it is predicted to go up more. UBS even said it would go up to $5,000. Noble Gold Investments phones have been ringing nonstop. Everyone wants to protect their retirement with gold, and you can do the same. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure some gold to protect your future. From day one, you will work with the same dedicated all American expert. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, Noble Gold Investments will make sure you get all the help you need. And this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free quarter ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. And remember, there's always a risk when you're investing. There are no guarantees of any kind. What is going on, Americans? Jericho Green here with you once again. Make sure you give me a follow on X. The link will be in the description box at green_Jericho, and get yourself some brand new merch from my Teespring. You can get 20% off with promo code SloppyJoe1, all caps and no spaces. So I want to tell you guys something that happened yesterday. I'm trying to tell you a story. Now, there were mixed emotions in this story. Part of me was proud. Part of me was a little disheartened because you hate to see things like this, but it happens. I remember it happening to me, and now it happened to my kid. So, and some of you might have a similar story, but this is what happened. So yesterday at boxing class, some racist shit happened to my son. Fortunately, it went over his head because he is 8 years old and he's never experienced anything like that before. By the time I was his age, I had, but not a lot. And I probably didn't even understand what it was. I just knew that they were saying that to be mean. And again, these are kids. Kids are going to say what they think is going to make you mad. Kids are going to say what they think is cool, especially when they're around other kids. So I wouldn't call this kid a racist. He just said some racist shit. So yesterday, one of the exercises that they do is the coach will put a 45-pound weight on the floor. And so each kid puts their left foot on the weight, and you're working on body shots. Not only are you working on getting past somebody's guard and hitting them with the body shot, but you're also practicing keeping your guard up. And the object of the game is to knock the other person's foot off of the weight. If your foot goes off the weight, you got to drop down and do 5 push-ups. So the kids they just got done with one of the drills, because it starts off with calisthenics. They run around, they're doing push-ups and stuff, jumping jacks. They work on boxing form and combos and stuff like that. And then they end with exercise, usually mountain climbers or sit-ups or something like that. So it was after they were done doing the warm-ups in the beginning. The kids were kind of milling around for a second. And there's 2 older kids, 3 older kids counting my daughter, but there's 2 boys and they're like 11 years old. So they must know each other, go to school together, because they're always kind of hanging out. They're always near each other. So one of the kids says to my son, "Go back to the cotton fields." And so he says this 2 or 3 times, but my son didn't even hear it, or maybe he did and didn't even realize the kid was talking to him because he's never heard anything like that. But my daughter, she's older. She heard it. So she told me. And I made sure that that's what she heard. Because, sometimes kids might think they hear things, and they blow things out of proportion. So I didn't want to take it to the authorities without confirming that that's what happened. But that's what happened. So the drill that they had to do, I told the coach who was there, because that kind of shit can't go on. You can't be talking to other kids like that, being mean, saying fucked up shit to them. So I told the coach what happened, and he handled it great. But the drill, the first round of the drills, my son was, and he's 8, and these kids are 11. So he was against another kid in the drill. So the next drill, he happened to be against the kid who said that to him. And I just told my son, I purposely didn't tell him that. I don't want him to know that. I don't want to rob him of his innocence. And like, Dad, what? I don't even know what that means. I don't want him to have to deal with that until he has to deal with that. So I didn't even tell him. I just said, son, you make sure you keep your guard up. You guard, let them throw their punches, and then you throw your punches. And I said, don't mess around. And he said, okay. So they start going at it, and my son is tagging it. Boom, boom, boom. And so, you know, the kid ended up having to do push-ups a bunch of times. He never knocked my son off of the weight. He never knocked him off of it. So I'm proud of my son for, number one, being tough enough to not get knocked off the weight. Number two, I'm proud of him for not being afraid to go against an older kid, because this kid is much bigger than him. Longer arms, he's taller, he's stronger, and he wasn't afraid of him. And so the kid does his push-ups, he gets back on there, boom, boom, boom. My son knocks him off again, doing his push-ups, and then my son, he looks at me and he's like laughing. I say, hey, don't do that. Get serious. So he got serious, and so the kid hits him in the chest. And it's from the neck down, no headshots. So, but he got kind of high and he hit my son in the chest, and then you just see his demeanor change. And he went, bam, bam, bam. Socked the kid up, and the kid ended up, I don't know, 3 or 4 times he had to do push-ups. He never knocked my son off. So that was good to get that boost of confidence. Like, see, just because they're bigger than you or they're stronger than you doesn't mean you're going to lose. You just need to use your mind more. You need to be faster. You need to move, be a harder target to hit. Make sure your punches are well placed, because just because they're bigger than you doesn't mean they can't be hurt. You hit him in the right spot, the gut, the kidney, the face, you can bring him down. Don't be afraid of Goliath, David. Is the lesson that I wanted to impart on him. But it was kind of weird not telling him and trying to explain to him what that meant, because what am I going to do? Am I going to tell my 8-year-old son, yeah, what he meant was, see, black people used to be slaves and they would work in a cotton field sometimes, and he was telling you to go back in the cotton fields. He was being mean to you because you're half black. And he wouldn't fucking get that. And again, I don't want to rob him of his innocence. I want him to live in that bubble of everybody's nice as long as he can. But he handled his business, and my daughter, she did understand. She did understand what that meant, but she didn't take it to heart. You know, she didn't get super mad about it, but she was upset that he said that. But what I want my kids to learn, you know, and when my son's old enough, I'll explain this to him, but don't take everybody in that kid's racial group as being like that. You have to take this as on a case-by-case basis. Some kids, and he's 11. He was just being an asshole. I don't think there are any real 11-year-old racists out there in the world, but he was just saying what he thought was cool. He was in front of that other kid that was his age, so he probably thought that would have been funny or some shit like that. But I don't hold it against the kid. My son obviously doesn't, because he didn't even understand what went on. And so the kid came up to him after class, and he says, hey, I'm sorry for what I said to you. And he goes, my son said, what? I'm sorry for what I said to you. Oh, okay, no problem. And the kid took like 2 steps, and my son goes, Dad, what did he say? I said, never mind, just take the apology. But it was weird not being able to explain that to him, but he was just like, okay. And then he goes outside, and so I guess the kid hit him in the arm and gave him a Charlie horse. And I said, oh, you just got a little Charlie horse right there. It's okay. He's like, Dad, what's a Charlie horse? I said, when you get hit in your muscle and it tightens up, it kind of spasms and it hurts. So then we're walking out to the car to leave. Then he goes, Dad, he says, that Charlie donkey thing hurts. I said, you mean your Charlie horse? He was like, yeah, it hurts. I was like, you'll be okay. It might be sore for a day or two, but you'll be all right. And today he's fine. But that's what happened in boxing class. That was my son's first experience with racism. Completely went over his head. But I hope the kid learns. You don't say shit like that, even if you think it's funny. If not, hey, then I guess he'll get another lesson in the boxing gym. But my daughter, she wants a piece of him. She says, Dad, when we spar, I want to spar him. So, hey, if it works out that way, maybe you can ask the coach to line it up or whatever, but she wants a piece of him too. And, like I said, I hope the kid learned. You know, I don't think he's a little racist, but and meaning like I don't think he's a physically it's like a little because he's a kid. I don't think he's a little racist. I don't think he's racist at all. But hopefully he learned to be more careful with his words. What do you guys think? Did I handle it well? Did Junior handle it well? What are some experiences you had with racism as a little kid where you didn't quite understand? You knew it wasn't nice, but you didn't really understand. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link, hit the link to my Teespring, Sloppy Joe 1, all caps will get you 20% off, and give me a follow on X. I'm Jericho Green, and yes, I be out.